2 weeks later, I get a phone call from my doctor, and she's like, hey, and I could tell by the sound of her voice, like it wasn't going to be good news. And so she says, yeah, like it came back that it was cancer. And my verbatim response was, ma'am, I said, I have 5 kids and a husband. I said, just tell me what I need to do.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Crumb Studio podcast. If you are joining us, this is actually a part 2. So I would encourage you to go back and watch the first episode. It's season 1, episode 3, with my special guest, Jackie. Let me introduce myself. If you are new here, hi, my name is Shanice Parker. I am the host and commentator of this platform, and with me is my special guest, Jackie Jones.
Hi.
We did a part 1, just getting to know her, knowing what she does for a living, her successes, her failures, and we are going to move into, some would call it, I call it one of the most, inspirational stories, personally close to me. And so we are going to talk about her journey and her cancer journey, that is. And so if you have not already, please like, share, and subscribe. We want you to be able to tune in with us, be notified on when new episodes drop, because this is information and content that you don't want to miss. And so, hey, Jackie.
Hey, girl.
How you feeling after part 1?
I'm ready for part 2, actually.
You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
I've had a really good time.
Yes, I did too.
With you.
Yes, absolutely.
So you, Jackie, are a breast cancer survivor.
Yes.
And I'm probably gonna joke about her tatas too. It's okay.
It's okay.
You are a breast cancer survivor. Tell us more. Take us back to when you were diagnosed, the diagnosis, all of that.
Okay, so this was my 2nd mammogram. So, and I had those scheduled at my birthday, because my doctor was like, you know what, just schedule around your birthday so you can remember it every year. So my first one went just fine. Second one, go in, as normal, and then get the phone call like, hey, we seen something. We need you to schedule and come back. And so that was a 2-week grueling, mentally grueling, can't sleep, 2 weeks to get there, because I was scheduled for a biopsy.
And this was 2022.
This was 2022.
Last year.
This was May. My birthday. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
My birthday is May 8th, but my appointment was scheduled May 9th. And so then 2 weeks later is when my biopsy was scheduled. And I really couldn't rest. Like, if I tell people any day, like, that type of diagnosis works on your mind more than it works on your body. Like, it's almost devastating.
Yeah.
And so the 2 weeks came or whatever. Me and my husband, of course, we go to the breast center for the biopsy. My whole time I'm knowing that Anthony's going to be able to go in the back with me while I get the biopsy and stuff done. And the lady says that he has to stay behind. Like, okay. And so she was like, the room's just not big enough. And so I get into the room, and it basically is biopsy time. The radiologist guy comes in and he's confirming. He's like, hey, he was like, I just seen it. He was like, I just want to check it. He was like, most of the time it's nothing. He was like, but I just like to check it and make sure, whatever.
And so to catch you all up, Anthony is her husband.
Yes.
And if y'all didn't see part 1, y'all, she need her husband. Okay.
Yes.
To understand that more, go check out that video. So you get a phone call. You go in for a mammogram. You get a phone call and say, hey, no, it's not all clear. We need you to come in and do some more testing, which was a radiology test, right? Yes. And they make you wait 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Y'all need to do better with that. 2 weeks for an appointment. And so you get there, and it's like, wait a minute, now your husband can't come to the back.
Yeah.
He has to stay. And so you have to go in that room and face this by yourself. By yourself. And so, I'm sorry, go ahead and continue.
Okay, so the lady that did like my stuff before, she did like, my ultrasounds and all of that stuff, and the mammogram and all that stuff before. She was the same lady that was there to comfort me during the time that I was getting my biopsy. And so I'm there on the table, and I am tearing. Tears are just flowing, constantly, no stop, nonstop. And she's very gentle, very kind, and she's just wiping my tears and she's telling me it's okay. And the biopsy, I wouldn't recommend for anyone. Like, it wasn't like it was an easy procedure. It was long needles, it was machines and noises and all of that stuff. And it was scary to be doing it by myself. And so Anthony wasn't there. But like I said, the nurse, she was very comforting. And immediately when it was over, she ran out the door to go get my husband. And so she ran out to go get him, and she came back, with him or whatever. And that shake, like when you're after you have a baby and you kind of shaking, they put the warm blanket on, you still kind of shaking. And so that was where I was at. And so, like, I wasn't sobbing with the snot and stuff, but tears was just flowing. Like, I think it was like, I can't believe I'm going through this. Like, I'm already scared of needles, like all of this stuff. And so I had to suffer all that by myself. Yeah, I'm about to cry too. And so, so we go through that. Anthony, of course, comforts me and stuff during that process. And so then, of course, we depart and go home. We have to wait again for results. And so I get a phone call from my actual doctor. Maybe it was probably like 2 weeks again. And so 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from my doctor, and she's like, "Hey," and I could tell by the sound of her voice, like, it wasn't going to be good news. And so she says, "Yeah, like, it came back that it was cancer." And my verbatim response was, "Ma'am," I said, "I have 5 kids and a husband." I said, "Just tell me what I need to do." And so she said, "Okay." She said, "I'm going to get you with the best doctors. I'm going to get you here." She was like, "These people are going to call you from," what's the name of that hospital? Is it K? It's not KU. Is it KU? Maybe it's KU. No, or whatever. I always forget the.
St. Joe?
No, it must be KU. No, it must be KU.
Okay.
And so she was like, "I'm gonna get you with the best doctors or whatever." Da 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 da. And I was like, "Okay." And so I called Anthony. I was working from home, so I called Anthony, and I'm like, "Hey, babe, girl, so delirious." And so I called Anthony, and I'm like, "Hey, babe," I'm like, the doctor just called me. He was like, "What they say?" I was like, "Yeah, they said it was cancer." And he was like, "What?" He was like, "Are you fine?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And he was like, "You want me to come home?" I was like, "No, I'm good." And right back to work, right? And so it didn't hit me, right? And so he ends up coming home or whatever. And he comes through the door, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" Right?
Oh, God.
And so he said he recognized, like, it just it didn't hit. And so it was on a Thursday. And so it was our nephew's, my husband's sister's son's graduation. And we go to the graduation or whatever, and we're sitting at graduation, whole family. We got the whole few rows and stuff. And so we're at, is it I'm trying to think of the one that's downtown. Anyways, we was sitting there, and I'm just watching all the kids graduate, and I'm starting to get emotional. And I'm starting to think about, am I going to be able to see my kids actually graduate? And so I'm getting emotional. And then it's like flaring up, like it started from my feet almost, and it's just gradually increasing. My thoughts are increasing, recognizing like it finally became kind of real. And so everybody, I hear like all these conversations. You know how it's like you can hear like voice, like all of these different conversations. Well, now I'm like hearing all of these different conversations. People are talking about their kids. People are excited and stuff. And I'm getting more emotional. So it's just up to the knees now. And so I'm sitting next to my brother-in-law, and Anthony's sitting over here, and he's talking about, talking about our middle kids that's going to be graduating. And then my brother-in-law asked our youngest, "Are you ready to graduate?" or something like that. And so now it's pulling up here. And so I'm like, okay. And so I know I'm about to explode. And trying to hold it in. And Anthony, at one point, he did ask me if I was okay, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And the conversations, I could still hear families. And then it got so bad to where it got to a point where I just couldn't hold it in anymore. And I hopped up out of my seat. and it was like I said, we was sitting in the rows, and so it was like this older couple that was this way, and I remember saying, "Excuse me, excuse 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 me," getting through everybody because the family was more on this side, and so I went the other way, and so I'm like, "Excuse me, excuse me, excuse me." Anthony's like, "Yo," he kind of looked at me or something, and I was like, and I'm out of there. And as soon as I took my foot on that last step to get out of view of everybody, I bust out crying. I mean, a cry I've never done before. And we should have had Kleenex. and so, eventually Anthony found where I was at, and I'm seeing like people like coming in. You know, it's a huge building where we're at, so I'm seeing everybody like coming in, and I'm like, I know they're probably thinking like, what in the heck is wrong with her? What the heck is like wrong with her? And so Anthony comes in, and he was like, he was looking for me actually, and he was like, he didn't know where I went in this big old place, and so of course I'm on him, and I'm just crying my eyeballs out, and my his cousin. Because I did end up telling the family that I was having a biopsy. I just didn't tell his family the results because I had found out that day. And so his cousin had, she had followed him because he said he told her, like, come on. And so he was like, he had to tell her, like, you know, it came back and she has breast cancer or whatever. And so, I mean, I just sat there and I snotted on my husband for a very long time. And, you know, did we finish the graduation? I think we did finish the graduation. Yeah, we did, because everybody was, you know, you okay? What's going on? I said, yeah, I'm fine, whatever. And ended up leaving and had to wait weeks again for my very first appointment with oncology and all of the other doctors and stuff.
We're going to have to do better medical teams. I understand the appointments, but the results part, now y'all can't have people waiting 2 weeks and 2 weeks and 2, you know, we had 6 weeks at this point. And I still don't, we don't, you know, have a stage. We don't have a, what exactly is the strength, like we don't have anything but besides
a diagnosis
of breast cancer.
Yep. And so after diagnosis and waiting and finally getting the appointments to come and, you know, start getting all this paperwork in the mail from, I think it's Kate, or getting all paperwork and stuff in from like my specialists or people that's going to be working with my team or whatever, and finally actually getting in. One thing that I told my husband from the beginning is I don't want to know the stage. And he was like, are you sure? I was like, absolutely not. Like, because it's already enough. It was already so much heaviness mentally without even knowing if it was breast cancer at first, and then finding out it was breast cancer, and then you want to throw on telling me what stage I'm in. I was like, absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, don't add nothing else to this. Just fix it, right? And so we get in there, and they're like, you're going to have a busy day. Like, you have all of these doctors or whatever that's going to come see you, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay. So I told every doctor, like, I don't want to know the stage. Like, don't tell me. And so they're educating me and my husband on everything or whatever. They're telling us, you know, what steps and all of that good stuff. And so we get to, I think it was the last doctor, radiation, which I didn't have to do. But he was just telling me, you know, what it'll look like if I have to go through radiation and stuff. And so, so I told every doctor, I said, did they tell you, you know, that I don't want to know the stage? And I said, yeah, you know, yeah. When I was saying, the first doctor, she had said, why? She kind of asked me why. I said, okay, I just don't want to mentally deal with it. And so she started kind of telling me like these negatives, and this is negative, blah, 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 blah. But anyways, so this last doctor, he comes in, and he's bust through the door, and he was like, hey, I'm so-and-so from I'm so-and-so from radiology. From radiology. And he was like, oh, this is going to be it's so simple. He was like, you're in stage 1, something. Me and Anthony looked at each other. Nobody must have told him, like, don't go in there and say anything. And so,
well, listen, when she sent the message to me, because you had already expressed, I think at this point it was very fresh. She had she was just like, I have breast cancer, and it was just like, okay, you know, I don't know nothing else. okay, so it's kind of like that holding of the breath too. I remember talking to our leader, and I'm like, I'm bawling, and he's like, man, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. We don't even know what's going on yet. And I'm like, all right. And so you had made it clear you didn't want the stage. But I remember getting that text message. And you see, this was you be getting on my nerves. She sent this text message like, yep, it's stage 1. I might have to do something radiology. Call me later. What? Girl, I was in Ross, and I screamed. Like, I know them people because it was like old lady. She looked at me, but it was just such a moment of relief. I was just like, oh my, like literally, I started like screaming in Ross, like God, like I didn't know what to do. Because, no matter what stage it is, God is a healer.
Yeah.
But just to hear, like, oh.
Yeah. It did take the pressure off. When and I'm glad that he said it. But prior to, I wouldn't have wanted to nobody to tell me. But I'm glad he told me. And I think if it was at any stage, I would have been glad he told me that he actually messed up big time.
Really?
And said it. Yeah. Because it was important. It was important to know. I think it was important to know. And because you need the preparedness, even if it's the worst information ever, you still need to be prepared for it. And so I'm glad he told me. But I didn't want to know though. But that was when we left from that hospital, we were so hopeful. We were so hopeful. They left us with as much information as possible. We were very comforted in knowing that the feeling as if everything was going to be okay. It was a great experience, And after that, we still had to wait. So the next thing that was literally scheduled was surgery. It was like, okay, you'll have surgery in July, and so schedule some time with the surgeon or whatever. Meet the surgeon, talk about implants or whatever you want to do and stuff like that. But other than that, it was still a waiting point.
Well, talk about that though, because you making the decision to get implants or just completely remove your breast was a big deal.
It was a big deal. You're absolutely right. So I was very close, very, very close to making the decision to go flat. And because I just didn't want to deal with it. And so the possibility of anything. And so because they told me I had to go get an MRI, I believe it was, because she wanted to check because some stuff was starting to spread. And that was scary as well because I had to do that on my own. And but she told me she wouldn't be able to do a lumpectomy because that was the initial goal, to do a lumpectomy, like take it out and then you keep your natural breast and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But she said that she wouldn't be able to do it because it was like the spacing between the stuff, and she was like, I just can't guarantee you that it's going to look good. And she was like, I'd rather not do it. And she was highly recommended as the doctor to go to. And so I trusted what she said. And I said, okay. And so I said, well, can we have a conversation about just knocking off both of them? And so she was like, yeah, sure. We do it all the time and we understand, you want to limit, possibilities of everything. But I sat in my own thoughts for a long while, really contemplating on not having breast at all, the image of breast at all. And so I talked to Anthony about it, and he was like, babe, he was like, I understand. He was like, but I know how you are. And he was like, I think you would like to have breast, but even if they're not yours. He was like, the way that you wear your clothes, the way that you look, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I think you would like breast. And I'm like, no, I wouldn't. I'm like, no, I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, absolutely
you
not.
Just want to live.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. And so actually the decision on breast was more, I felt like I made that decision more for him. And I used to tell him, like, no, like, you want me to have breast. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to look. Like, I didn't care about it as much. But I also, understood like these are our breasts. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not only is it our breast for, I'm going down, I'm looking good, but also when we're intimate, like, do you want to see a flat chested woman or not? And so I made the decision to actually go with implants. But I do remember being in the doctor's office with the plastic surgeon, and I was still at that moment indifferent on making my decision, and he stopped because he recognized it, and he said, "Are you sure this is what you want to do?" And so I thought about it again, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do it." And so that's kind of how we made the decision to go ahead and get implants.
Yeah, and if you guys are not familiar, if you haven't had anyone that has walked this journey, then there are still risks with the implants. There
Sure
are
is.
still risks of the cancer coming back. Correct. There are the reason why this was such a big decision was because of the risk of getting the implants. And so that's why I didn't want you to dance over that, because some people were just like, because back in the day, my grandmother's friend, she had to wear like spacers.
Mm-hmm.
They couldn't do implants.
Yeah, that was a risk that what I would have had to do possibly too.
Yeah, they couldn't do it immediately. You would get your breast removed, and then you would get like the spacers or stretchers.
Skin,
and then you would wait a year, or you would wait a certain period of time before they would actually, allow you to do the implants. And so I remember having the conversation, like, what is, what's happening? And your biggest worry was, I just don't want the cancer to come back, and I don't want to deal with any other health issues. And it was almost like, he's like, 'cause I don't want to be vain, and which is true. Like, you're just, God, I just want to be alive. I just want to be healthy. But then it kind of goes back, like, to the talks of the desires, though. Like, I am kind of glad that your husband, he a man, but I am glad that he kind of stopped and said, like, are you really sure? Like, just because you get your breast removed doesn't remove your womanhood or femininity, or are you like really sure? And I'm really glad that he challenged you in that thinking, to push you to, yes, it was a collective desire, but to really make you search your heart for your desires. Is this something you really want to live with for the rest of your life?
Right.
And every time we go on vacation, or every time we, do this, will you be satisfied? Yeah. And if you're not, like, that's okay too. Like, breasts are very much a part of our body and how God created us. Yeah. And so I'm just glad that he challenged your thinking.
Oh yeah, me too. And you know what? I still, to this day, it probably was maybe a few weeks ago, was wondering what my chest would look like if I would have went without these. Yeah. So that it's still there, and the fear is still there, because when I got my paperwork, when you get implants, you have to they hand you this paperwork and all of this stuff to sign. And when I got my paperwork, they was like, okay, we'll be back, and they came back, and came like back within minutes, thinking that my paperwork was going to be signed. I was like, no, I'm reading it. And so I'm reading it, and this is when I found out, like, you get, now the implants can cause cancer. And so it's like, oh, what the heck? You know what I'm saying? And so it was like
autoimmune diseases,
all kind of stuff. Yeah, all kinds of things. And so, like I said, it was a decision to make, and I'm happy with my decision. You know what I'm saying? But I still, go back and dwell on it.
Because she be wearing them little crop tops.
Yeah,
She be out here.
Yeah, I be
with the little.
Yeah,
she be
I
out
show
here.
them now. Thank you, or whatever.
But you were cute and confident even with your natural breasts, though.
Yeah.
It ain't like she got some new boobies and she busted out. Jackie was just busting out here. She was confident, little bitty and all. Like, she was confident. I really appreciate that about you. So you go in, it's surgery. The doctor makes sure that you're okay with your decision. Like, you are really settled with your decision. And so surgery day happens. And so let's talk about surgery day.
Yeah, on surgery day, I had to be alone again. And so on surgery day, naturally assuming that Anthony goes to the back with me while I'm getting prepped and everything for surgery, nope, he had to stay back. So doors closed, I walk in the back room, doors closed behind me, and I have to do it on my own again. And so I get to the back and, getting dressed, helping them make sure there's like this is the, they drawing all over you, like, this is the cancer breast, right? This is, and all of that stuff, meeting anesthesiologist and everything. And I don't remember being emotional back there, but I do remember like calling Anthony once I was able to actually call and speak to him and on video. Thank God we're in that type of world now that we can do video calls and stuff. But on video call, letting them know I'm prepped and ready to go and everything. And I remember telling the lady, I said, "Can you make sure I go to sleep before I get back to the back room?" And so she like had I seen her because she like had all of these little syringes or whatever. And so she was like, "Yeah." And so I remember very slightly going from one gurney to the next, just a little vision. And so the medicine likely did its job before I got all the way, did most of its job before.
At that ceiling.
Yeah, I didn't have to see all of that. Yeah. And so, funny story is when Anthony tells when he comes back after surgery and everything, he says, "I'm waking up," and I'm like, what does he say? He said I was saying stuff like, first asking like, did they get the cancer out or whatever, and he was like, I said something like, "How my breasts look? I can't wait to wear a V-neck so I can shake them," and
out of control.
Just all kind of silliness. And he was like, "Ooh, I wish I was thinking to record." He was like, "But he was so scared." He was like, "Because I wasn't waking up naturally from the medication or whatever, because it was going to be a surgery, come out of recovery and go home situation." And it wasn't, because I couldn't get out of anesthesia properly, so I had to stay overnight, which I'm glad, because I don't see how I would have been recovering like that at home. Recovering in the hospital after that surgery was crazy. And so surgery, it really did go well and perfect or whatever. I didn't have to get the spacers, because I asked him, I said, "Hey," I said, "I don't want to do this again." I said, "Try to put them in there, make it work. I don't care what you got going on. You put them in there, let this be one shot." And so, anyways, all got done. And so, get released from the hospital, go home. And when I go home, because I let me go back a little bit. I remember expressing, I'm going to go back a little bit. So, during this process, I did a lot of relationship building with my sisters and my mom and everything, because now we're having conversations, because everything was like in a 90-day process. Like it went like this, like it was so fast. And I was like always like on messenger, like we're doing video calls. I'm like, "Okay, this is what they said, blah 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 blah, this is what we're doing, blah blah blah," like constantly all of this. And so I remember saying to my sisters, like, "Oh," and just talking like, "Oh, when I get out of surgery, I want to have a party and some like balloons and all of this stuff." And when I came home from the hospital, my husband is pulling into the house, and I see this balloon garland on the front of the house in the yard. He has like all these breast cancer signs in the yard. He has like this one sign with all of these breast all on it to say, I don't remember what it say. I just looked at it the other day. Like he had like all of this stuff, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" And so they had planned, like all my family had came out of town and everything. So when I came home from the hospital, like everybody was gonna be there, but I didn't wake up from. So Anthony was like, I was at the hospital, like, "Wake up! You got a whole celebration at the house."
Yeah.
But and so my sister had to. It was only for a one night thing, so she had to fly back home. So I didn't get to see her and all of this. But yeah, it was very.
And we talking about during the pandemic, so it wasn't family coming to the hospital.
Right. Nope. Yeah. Nope. And so. I got home, of course, getting all settled and stuff, and so some family that was able to come ended up coming, and found out my son had showed me that day of my surgery he had went and got a tattoo with my name, and the Q was the breast cancer ribbon. Made me bawl crying. They had all the pink balloons, and everybody wrote words of encouragement and stuff to me on each one of the balloons. Had plenty of flowers, just stuff that I just wouldn't have expected. I found out I was loved during this time.
Yeah.
I did, like, how you just be living your life and this is family or whatever. But I found out like I was really loved and that people really cared about me, even people that I never would have thought of. And then it became people I never even knew. And so it just went from level to level. I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like my sister got a tattoo with my initials and the breast cancer ribbon. And I'm like, oh my God. And so, my mom, she came to live, she literally dropped her whole.
She was there.
My mom shut her life down, her job, she left everything and came and stayed with me to take care of me while I was there. And I mean, shout out to my mama because I mean, you know, she gonna do what she do for her kids. Always has, really, to the best of her ability. But yeah, she shut down everything to come up and live with me to help my husband take care of me or whatever. And at recovery from surgery was crazy. I hurt myself a lot. I couldn't sleep in the bed. It was super uncomfortable. I slept on the couch every night. And like I think my most comfortable way to sleep literally on the couch was on my hands and knees in the corner. And so I could just hang my chest over the couch and my head over the couch. And my sons, my middle son and my youngest son, they were the sweetest ever. I never slept on the couch by myself. They slept with me every night. And whenever I would hurt myself in the middle of the night, seems like they instantly would already know. And so they would wake up, Mama, you okay? Because I would be whimpering. And I'd be whimpering because I would try to turn the TV off or just make some. I remember having a dream where I was cutting hair and I went to go grab the clippers and I must have grabbed in real life and I hurt myself so bad and I was just whimpering. I was trying to call Anthony, and then my son Kobe came and he was like, Mama, you okay? And I was like, no, I need my medicine. No, I need my medicine. Save me, Lord. But my children really, really impressed me by caring so much. And that middle boy, he didn't leave my side much at all. He left one night and he said, Mom, I just need to sleep in my bed. And I said, I understand. But then his little brother replaced him and he slept with me. Yeah, the baby. Yeah, he came in, he replaced them, and then I had both of them at nights, and I'd be left watching SpongeBob all night because I couldn't reach the remote. So, but yeah, it was an experience, and what really got me through the mental part of all of this, because it's not over. It really hasn't changed because I think every pain, everything is cancer related. And so it's just like I don't want to be like that, but it's just like, okay, don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Don't let this fear overtake. And it doesn't, but it you know, those little things always come up. But what really helped my mindset was in business, we started reading books on mindset. And I just think that I thank God that we were actually reading those books because I had something to fight those negative thoughts that I was having that whole time. I wholeheartedly think if I didn't have like the information, because prayer and everything, but I also had to have that extra
the tangible
stuff. So reading those books and stuff really helped me get through how to fight those thoughts because it was crazy.
I bet.
It was super scary.
Did you did you ever have a worry, a concern? Did you ever think about death?
At the graduation.
And that was it?
Yeah. At the graduation. That was it. One thing that I tell people, I had somebody ask me not too long ago, said, did you ever ask why? And I never asked why. I never asked why. And they're like, why? I have no idea. I don't think I had time to worry about why. I literally, everything was like, boom, this is your life now. And it was just like, okay, and now you're going through this. Like once it started rolling and was going to the doctors and all of this stuff, it was like appointment here, going there, doing this way. Say, okay, we got a schedule for surgery. Okay, now you had surgery, and after that surgery, you got an appointment, and after this, you know what I'm saying? Like it was moving something about you don't have time to even think like that.
Yeah.
So
you trying to live.
Yeah.
I will say one thing that I really appreciated in this journey with you is you allowed me to be a part of the journey with you. You know, I would call and I would be like, I ain't trying to bother you, I ain't trying to bug you. And you would be like, no, call
me. Yeah, call me, please. I used to tell people, don't treat me weird. That was my thing. Don't treat me weird.
But I had like the urge to like call all the time.
Yeah.
And so, but you also want to like give people the space to process and to just be. And I'm thinking about like nobody wants to continue to talk about their cancer all day long, right? So that was always my mindset. Like I don't want to be that person. Girl, how your breasts today?
Right.
And so I remember you just being like, man, call me. Call me. And in that season, is what you were going through, I was going through something like really, really heavy. And so you allowed me, because you was like, man, let's talk about something else. Like, what's going on with you, right? So you were like able to not only allow me to be a part of your journey, but be able to like put self aside to be able to hear what I had going on. And I'm glad I was able to distract you with all the foolishness that was happening with me. But it didn't change like your stance. It didn't change it's gonna be okay. It didn't change, God is a way maker. Like the position and the heart posture didn't change. You know what I'm saying? I'ma pray for, so and so. I'ma be, so that for me, and mind you, the year prior, my brother went through the cancer journey, right? So 2 years in a row, someone that I love, same season too, like that April to.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. That April to, that fall time, 2 years in a row. Wow. I mean, it was like life was just repeating itself. My brother died. Next year, his sister died. Oh, my brother gets cancer. My friend gets cancer. Like, it was almost like just this circle. Like, what is it called? When you wake up and it's the same day?
Oh, deja vu. No, like the Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, like the Groundhog Day.
And so things were just happening the year after the next, same times. And so but this time I got to just be a part of it with you. I remember calling you. I remember praying because I was panicked. And I was panicked and I was a little mad because I was like, man, Lord, Jackie ain't did nothing to nobody. She ain't did nothing to nobody. You know what I'm saying? She nice. She's kind. She's all of these things. And I was just really struggling. You wasn't worried about the why, but for me, it just like, Lord, it seemed like just the kindest people, go through these type of things. And so I had to wrestle. I was wrestling in my faith with that. Because also at the same time, I told you a small child that I knew had got diagnosed with cancer. And so I'm like, Lord, I'm having a hard time receiving these people that I know, and I know the heart of them, and I know that they love you. You know what I'm saying? I'm having a hard time receiving these diagnoses and these things that are happening. And I remember praying, and I shared it with you. I remember God, my eyes were closed, and I saw like when you be in classroom, you see like the poster with the body, and I seen this poster, and it was like these little white dots, and the dots were just moving like out of the fingers. And so I heard God say, I am. And I said, okay. Next day, that's why I screamed at Ross. You text me because we have been waiting for an update. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to bug nobody, but we have been waiting like, what we doing? What's going on? And so you text me and said, man, this stage 1, I might have to do radiology. And just the relief, the peace, the understanding of even the gift that God had gave me. Like, he had gave me a prophetic vision. And so, and at that time I didn't know that's what it was, but I can see it now, like with my eyes open, right? And so I remember you going through surgery and me being like, I didn't want to be there the first day because I'm like, her family gonna be there. Yeah, I'll really be tripping. But I wanted to give you that space with your family. But by day 2, I'm coming. Come on. And so I was just so happy. I was really happy. I was you had shared something with me that someone else had shared with you that just, confirmed what I had saw. And it was like, with all of these things going around, it was your journey, but it was still God showing me I am God. Yeah. And I'm going to be God. Yeah. I am the start and I am the finish. I'm the beginning and I'm the end. And it doesn't have to be according to your understanding. Absolutely. I am going to get glory out of Jackie's situation how I deem fit. Now I'm gonna give you a little piece about it. You better go and sit down somewhere. Right. But I remember just having like this moment of complete just gratitude and appreciation for how much he loves us. And then I get there. Y'all, in the world, we got to do better. Because listen, I get there. Jackie had food trains. Not train. Jackie had food trains. You understand? She had from her church, from the job, from the business. She literally, her mother did not have to cook a meal. Yeah, she came thinking she was going to have to come and cook, and everybody fulfilled that need. She had pans on the counters, the fridge is full, and it was day after day. It wasn't like 1 or 2 days. Oh yeah, it never fell off. It was day after day after day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Even in that, I'm like, and I remember you saying, oh my God, I've never felt more loved. You joked about it. You was like, I had to get cancer to feel like this, but just like I never felt more love than that. And I was just so happy to see. I was happy. I didn't like the circumstance, right? But to see how people showed up for you, how God showed up for you, how kindness was just flowing. Even when you walked in her home, she was in pain, but it was such a peace in her home. You know what I'm saying? And her husband was right there. She was like, what's up, babe? Where did he come from? Yes, and he tall, yeah. He real tall. Where did he come from? Just to see the love and the care and the compassion and the sacrifice and the all of the things that were showered down on you. I'm so glad that you had the support and the love and the care that you very much so deserve. Absolutely. And that's one thing with having a great family, but we also had a great church family. I mean, there's a lady at the church. I talked to her and I told her, what was my concerns, like coming out of coming out of surgery. And I said, I think I need somebody just, to cook food, to have some food. You know what I'm saying? Because Anthony can't cook. And so literally just having her set that up, she was like, oh, I got you. And when I say when she wasn't playing, she wasn't playing. I mean, we had somebody every day coming with great meals, full. I mean, and my family, same, like you said, like we have no desire for anything
that there was nobody saying we hungry what to eat. Where we gonna eat? We definitely had food to eat, but we also had like those people that came in, including you, like also expressing how much they actually cared about me and why they were glad to actually do that for me. And like, oh yeah, this is nothing. Like, yeah, I would, anything for you type of stuff. And I was just like, the type of person I was before was getting broken because I was just like what the heck? Like, why me? You know what I'm saying? Like, I just didn't understand this type of love, this type of care, this empathy. Like, because I'm like, it just wasn't. I just haven't been exposed to anything traumatic or anything like that. So it was just like it was all new, and I feel like it was time for me probably to go through something because other than that, I really haven't. So it literally showed me like how to like really accept people's love and care and all of that stuff. And one thing I was telling you the other day was when I was sitting at home working like a fool, but I was still working, and doorbell rang or whatever, and it was probably UPS. Somebody they was delivering. They had a delivery, unexpected delivery, and it was an edible arrangement. And so my husband's uncle uh, had unexpected. This was before surgery, actually. Yeah, this was before surgery. So this was the first thing that somebody actually sent to the house. And so doorbell ring, whatever, and it's like an edible arrangement. I'm like, me? And Reed was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. And so I was overwhelmed with emotion that I stepped away from my desk and I hustled into my bedroom and got on my knees and I said, what am I supposed to do with this? Because it was just so much. Yeah, so it was a little bit after, I think it was a little bit after surgery. So it was just so much. Oh, no, because I had flowers and stuff that was already starting to come in or whatever. And so I said, what am I supposed to do with this? In my prayer, I said, what am I supposed to do with this? And all I heard was, receive it. And I got up. No, matter of fact, I repeated it. I remember looking up and I said, receive it. And I was like, I'm not going to question it. I got up. I said, thank you, Lord. And it just continued to flow after that. Surgeries, the food train, people, the visitors, the money, like everything. We had no lack of anything.
Yeah.
During that time, including love. And it was an amazing experience. I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I had to go through it. Yeah. It was the most scariest thing ever, though. Yeah. It's life too.
Yeah, and so I lost my train of thought because again I was about to start crying. I need to get this together. And you did not have to do radiology.
No radiation nor chemo. So, so God is so good. So I remember praying to God. Saying, I want it to be as if nothing ever happened, unrecognizable, right? Mm-hmm. And if you look at me, I had a conversation with a lady in Sam's Club that I hadn't seen in a while. I used to work with, and so I told her, my journey or whatever. She was like, "What? What? Really?" And unrecognizable. Exactly what I prayed for. I didn't lose my hair. I had my sisters. They're like, we'll cut our hair off if you go through chemo. We cut our hair off, and like I'm going to the doctors, and she's like, they look at your numbers, and so it's like if your numbers are between this number and this number, like we highly recommend chemo. If it's between this numbers or this number, we can talk about it. Or if it's this, it's absolutely not, or whatever. And so I think it was like an 18 or 19 was the, what you don't need to do chemo or whatever. And so my number was, I think it was 18. And so she was like, you can do it if you want, but you really don't need to do chemo. Absolutely not. She was like, so I'll get you on this. She was like, you take one pill. You'll take one pill every day for 9 years. And I was like, well, what are the symptoms? And there was like hot flashes. She was like, people always say that it sends you through menopause. She was like, it's not. She was like, it's just It's just the medication, She was like, it's not sending you through menopause. And so she was like, you'll get, go through hot flashes or whatever. She was like, you may be dry down there. She was like, it does cause, it can cause another cancer, cervical cancer. And she was like, so you need to make sure you keep up on my pap smears or whatever. And I have had not one hot flash. I take that one pill every morning. I say, as soon as I take this pill, I'm praying with this pill every morning. I pray with that pill every morning. I haven't had not one hot flash. I haven't had not one moment of dryness. Everything
Clear that up.
Yeah. Everything has been restored like I asked.
Jackie, don't make me get up and run around this. Listen, don't make me get up and run around this room.
It's running around worthy.
Yeah.
In all honesty.
Yeah.
Because me even talking about it, because I've never had like this extended conversation about it. It's always just like one, talk about this part of it or something like that. But it is like run around praiseworthy conversation, because God really showed out and He blessed me during that whole thing, and nobody would ever know that I went through that.
Yeah.
Nobody would ever know that I went through it, and I remember going through. Now I had triggers going through it, like after surgery, I was feeling better and stuff like that. Remember I said my husband had the yard signs in the yard, so of course you pluck them up eventually. So he had them in the garage, and I would get out the car and I would have to pass by those signs every time I get out the car, and they would trigger me every time I would see them. Like I would just get irritated, and so one day I was just like, I was like, I need to throw them in the trash. Like this isn't me. Like I just need to throw them in the trash. And so I decided to throw them away, because they were like literally triggering me just to see them. And so I just didn't, and then it was I recognized during times like I would have conversations and I would talk about it, but I wouldn't say cancer.
Yeah.
And then I would I remember when October came, not knowing when Breast Cancer Awareness Month prior was or anything like that. And then people were inviting me to go on that thing. And I'm like, oh, absolutely not.
Oh, the walk.
Yeah, the walk, absolutely not. And I won't do it again this year either. Because I don't want this is a sorority that I never signed up for. I was never wanted to be a part of it. I understand I am, but I never, it's a non-voluntary army or whatever, you know what I'm saying? I didn't volunteer for this. Yeah. And I'm not ready to be a part of it.
You don't want your identity rooted in
that. And so I might do it one day, but not no time soon. I'm just not, I want it to be really behind me, because you can't even recognize that it was something that I experienced.
Yeah.
So I'm not ready for that part yet.
And understandable. I think that's it's our journey.
And it's trauma.
And absolutely. But I would encourage you to I'll tell you that later. We're gonna have a friend moment later. So is there anything else that you would like to share about your journey? Was there any besides hearing from the Lord and saying receive it, was there any other like spiritual revelation that you had during this process?
Girl, I wish I could remember this song that I used to listen to all the time. My memory is so jacked up, but it was this song that I used to listen to all the time, and it blessed me. Gosh, I want to pull out my phone because I know I got it saved in my drafts. When we're done, I'll open it up, save it on my YouTube. But I used to listen to that song all the time. The Storm, something through the storm. How that song go? Anyways, I would listen to that song, and it would purify me every time I listened. Every time I listened to that song, and when it come on now, I'll be like, "Oh, thank you, Lord." Like I needed that song. It was just some days, and I should be like, I can walk around, and I'll be like, "Okay, I need to play the song." Yeah. You know what really freed me? This is where we didn't get to. What really freed me during this whole diagnosis and everything is when I made the decision for it not to take over my life. I made a decision that I was going to expose everything. And so it was one day I was deep involved in my diagnosis. So I was like, I'm about to make a post that I have breast cancer on social media.
Yeah.
I made a post. My sister mailed me some flowers or something after my diagnosis, and I got on social media and I was like, I'm just about to expose it.
It wasn't just a post; it was a video.
It was.
It was a video.
Okay, so I
talking about it.
Yeah, I've done. So what I did, and I did it intentionally, and it really saved me, is I did it intentionally, which was to document the whole thing. And so during that, I made a lot of, I helped a lot of people, and I made, even though I call them friends, I don't talk to them, but during that time, I made a lot of friends. And so when I was on like my TikToks, I made a lot more friends on TikTok, but I was like literally talking to these other women that were going through the same thing I was going through, that was finding pleasure in watching my content. And to the point where they was like, can I call you? And I'm hearing women talking about their going through marital problems because of the dryness, or the breasts, how they look, or all of these things that I have no, like, I didn't have to experience those, but they have somebody to actually talk to.
Yeah.
Because they have no, like, they were like me, like first generation breast cancer people in the family, so they had nobody to talk to. And so I was the person that we can relate. I'm crying on the phone with women. I have no idea who they are. I'm sitting outside at nighttime on the phone getting ate up by mosquitoes, talking to ladies, and we're just helping each other, like, mentally get through this. And so during that time, I built a lot of relationships. I definitely, because I said this before, like, okay, I understand having sympathy, like, so yeah, I'm so okay, I'm sorry that happened to you, right? But when it goes to a different level, to where now, like, you experience some type of trauma, regardless of what it is, and now you like, no, like, I feel you, like, I know exactly what you're going through. I know exactly. Now I had a relative that was just diagnosed with a form of cancer, and so I called him and I said, how you doing? I was like, mentally. We had a friend of the church who had got diagnosed with cancer. He did end up passing away because of his cancer quickly. But when we was in the hospital, I started talking about the mental part, and he was sitting in the hospital bed, and he was like this. That mental part, I'm telling you, that's the part that you gotta be strong. Because I think if anything, that's the part that take people down fast.
Yeah.
That'll be the part that take people down fast. And so being on social media, exposing all of that stuff, really saved me. It allowed me to talk about all of that stuff. And so I talked about all of my fears. I talked about going to the doctors, what they were saying, like, all of that stuff. I literally, like, exposed to the world. And I still, to this day, I still get people that comment on my videos and comment on those videos, ask me questions on those videos, because ladies are still going through it.
Yeah.
It's sad, but having that type of community during that time, and then me being able to, like, help, I'm glad I was able to help.
Yeah, and we'll continue to help.
Yeah.
So because we have to wrap up, our time has run out on us. There's a tradition that we do on crumbs, and it is to leave a crumb with our listeners. Something tangible, something that you just feel like they can take with them. So what would the crumb of the day be?
Be more vulnerable to everything. Make sure that you actually are paying attention to everything that's going on in the world. When I went through that cancer diagnosis, I looked at life totally different. Everything became more green. The grass literally was brighter. The sky literally more blue. Start paying attention to all of that stuff, because what God created is amazing. And then just because then you recognize that it can be gone and you'll never see it again. So value all of that stuff while it's here, while you can.
Yeah, be intentional with the life
be very intentional.
that God gave you.
Yes.
Jackie, thank you so much for sharing with me.
Thank you for asking me to come.
I know I'm a boo-hoo in the car, but thank you so much for allowing this platform to be where you come and share the majority of your story. Thank you for letting me be a part of your journey. God, we thank you for your healing. To the medical staff who was there with my friend, the doctors, the nurses who comforted her and took care of her, from the radiologists to everyone who took dynamic care of her, even the lady who helped with her insurance and getting things approved. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for being in purpose and loving your job and being able to help people in what you do. So that's all we have for today. Thank you again for joining us for such an inspirational story. Again, her name is Jackie Jones. All of her contact information will be in the bio, in the description. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Bye. Love you.